Okay. So hi everyone. We're going to be having a very exciting class today. Everyone is going to be participating today. Glenn, Raj, Dimi, and I. You guys already met Dimi in the last class. So Glenn isn't around today, but he's going to be available on GoToMeeting. So he's going to take a section of the class. So we're going to start with conceptual maps. And Dimi is going to kick it off. And then we'll go through different phases. I'll go through the structural. Raj do a bit of building envelope. Dimi is going to talk about some more energy analysis stuff. So yeah, so Dimi, if you're ready, we'll just hand it over to you to start off. That cool?
Sure.
Awesome. So you're on.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Hope you're ready for some exciting mass modeling today. Glenn showed you some modeling basics last time, and today I'm going to introduce another function in Revit that basically allows you to compare multiple design options within the same model. Okay, so the basic concept of that is that there are two elements in your model. One of them is your surrounding environment, which is basically surrounding buildings, things that never change. And the second part of it is your model. So we open Revit, we open a floor plan, and let's go ahead and, I don't know, make some random surrounding buildings for us. So we go to massing and site, in place mass, and let's go ahead and name our first building, I don't know, building 1. We go ahead and make a square. And if we go to 3D, let's get this down. And if we go to 3D, we can see our mass. Let's make it a bit higher, make it, I don't know, like 20 feet. And we can then finish our mass, and we can go ahead and create more surrounding buildings. So let's create a couple more real quick. So that will be building 2. I don't know, make this. Again, select the boundary lines, create form, solid form. And you can see on the left window, which is the 3D view, that my building is already up. So make that, I don't know, 30 feet, and finish our mass. And let's go ahead and create another one. So that's building 3. Make that, I don't know, cube. That one. So make that, I don't know, 40 feet. And so if you guys can imagine, this is our surrounding buildings. Okay, let's imagine they're buildings. And I have this space down here in this corner that I want to create, I want to design my building. So design options allow us to experiment with different forms and shapes and see how they interact with the surrounding environment. So if we go back to our level 1, it's time for us to create our options. So the way to start with options is go to Manage tab, and you can see like a button here under the Design Options tab called Design Options. You may already you will be seeing a grayed out, which means it's disabled. Function here, which is like the main model. That indication here exhibits the option, the design option that is currently active. The main model basically refers to the things that don't change, which is that's why we we usually model the surrounding buildings and the existing structures within the main model. So if you go ahead and press design options, uh, this is like the window that pops up. And let's go ahead and create an option set. That's the first step to start with design options. So if you create an option set, you can see that it shows up on the left list. You can, if you select any of which, you can rename, delete it, and call it however you want. So let me rename this thing called design options. And you see that option 1, which is our primary option, appears underneath. What primary means is that it will show up along with the main model if we do not change the active option. You'll see in a minute what I mean by that. So let's go ahead and create a new option for this. Call option 2, option 3, whatever. If you click to any of these, you see like different functions here, like being enabled, rename, duplicate, delete, or you can make it primary. So if I want like option 2 to show with my surroundings, I can make this one primary. Doesn't make any difference. It's also comes to your personal preference. So let's go ahead and close this, and we're back to our level 1. As you can see here, the main model indication up here is enabled. Okay, and this is our option set. So this is our main model, and it does not change. And let's go ahead for our primary option. Go ahead and select our primary option. And you can see that the surrounding buildings, the one I drew beforehand, they're all like grayed out, which means they are disabled. I cannot select them. I cannot change them. I can't do anything. So so this is a time where we can go ahead and play around with our design. So call it this like D1, standing for design option 1. I don't know. And let's go ahead and create something. So I choose a rectangle, make it like this, create 4. And you can always like window tile and see your 3D view as well as your floor plan. So finish mask, and this here is my option 1. You can change options either by going to Manage tab and click at another option, or for the ones who want to go faster, the options are indicated on the toolbar down here. Can everyone see? Has everyone like located where the options drop-down list is down here? Okay. So right now I have option 1, which is my primary option, selected. And if I want like experiment with another shape, I can go ahead and select option 2. And you see that everything else remained the same, meaning the main model, my surroundings, the surrounding structures, the existing buildings, and option 1 disappeared, which means I can go ahead and play around with another shape. So let's create another shape for our option 2. This is design 2. And make this, I don't know, an ellipse. Make this 50 feet or whatever. Finish the mass. And you can see here my second option. Option 1, let's option 2. So this is pretty cool and makes it very, very easy if you want to like showcase different design intents to your client or to your coworkers. So it's a pretty cool feature. There's nothing magical about it. All you have to do if you want, like, you can go ahead and create another option set. Finish editing, and you can go ahead and create another option set with different main model, different options, and different designs. So that's about it with design options. Guys, with this suffice for now?
Yeah, I think because they've used design options before, but what we're trying to achieve is to let you understand how you use design options for your conceptual maps. Because that's the next
Okay,
stage that we're
good.
taking this to. So I think that introduces the next part, which is what I think you're going to do next, Timmy, the energy analysis for conceptual objects and
Cool.
conceptual maps.
Okay. So after you figure out like 2 or 3 of your design options, it's about time you start analyzing and figuring out how they perform. So I'm gonna take it over from our previous lecture on Tuesday. If you remember, guys, I showed you this building. It's a very, very basic mass with um, very basic glazing. We took a look at the analysis settings with the energy settings. Everything's unchanged. It has remained exactly the same as you saw it last time. So, as I promised last time, I will show you a few features on how you can customize your building a little bit to get one step closer to your design intent. So, trying to connect with what we talked about last time, this is how your building will look based on your energy settings. 40% percentage glazing. I think I showcased last time. If I change that to 20%, oh, I canceled it. Sorry. If I change that to 20%, all the windows of my building are going to be resized accordingly. But let's say, what if this back part of my building does not have any openings or windows? So instead of going here, because anything you change in the energy settings window will automatically reshape and change and alter everything in your building. So let's say your 40% glazing looks about right in general. So in order to start customizing the surfaces of the building, the way to go for it is this. Hover around your mouse and with the top button, pick the surface you want customized. So let me do this in hidden line. It will show better. So let's say I want this back part of my building without any glazing, without any windows and openings. So I'm covering around this mass, and with the top button, I select my surface. And you can see to my left in the project browser that the energy model list becomes enabled. And you can see like the percentage glazing, the sill height, and everything else for this specific surface. You can, if you want everything by the energy settings, you can set the values here by energy settings, and you see that the numbers underneath become disabled. So everything here on this surface refers back and it's locked to the energy settings. But if I want to customize it, go to values, select by surface, and you're free to play around with the glazing percentage you want. So let's say I do not want any glazing at this surface. I go ahead and put 0, hit apply, and you see that all openings have disappeared from this part of the building. Okay? Same goes for everything else in the building. So you see here, this surface is set by energy settings. I push it by surface. I want to change it to 10%. Hit apply, and you see that I have this slight opening in all my levels. Um, there's another way to customize your windows and openings even more. And if you remember, I showed a bit. Let me hide this. No, I want this guy and this one too. So this is the building with the fully customized glazing. All openings are almost identical to the design intent that the finalized design has. So there is a way to reach this, although I would like to stress a point right here. At this level of detail, fully customized glazing is not necessary. What I mean by that is Revit is good for quick and fast analysis based on pre-dimensioned sizes of windows. I think it's a bit counterintuitive to go ahead and customize glazing right now, and I would encourage you guys to look into that when it comes to your more detailed design. But nonetheless, I'm going to show you how to do this. So go ahead and pick a surface that you want to fully customize. Delete all windows. So this surface is blank. And now the way to do this is you have to divide that surface of that mask. So here we go. You select your mask and you hit edit in place. All right. So your mask here is fully editable. You can go ahead and change its form or do whatever you want with it. But right now, I want to divide the surface of this guy over here. So you can go either to a 3D view or an elevation view or anywhere you like. And after you selecting the surface you want to customize, you go ahead under your modify form tab in the geometry window over here, and you select an icon called split face. So what this does is it divides that surface into different objects. But what it does for this conceptual massing, it creates openings. So after having this one selected, go ahead and I choose the rectangle. It makes it much easier to create windows and customized openings. You can try with the other tools over here, like with line and the spline, but Revit does not like it that much. So I would suggest you to be simple and go ahead and take your rectangle tool and create various openings. If you go ahead and finish your mask, and boom, you see that the surfaces I split it became windows. You can change the window material and everything in the conceptual construction here, left hand side on your browser, and you can either keep it by energy settings, or you can select specific window types for those windows. By all means, the same goes for all other pre-dimensioned windows that are already there. So hovering around your mouse, hitting the top button, you can select your windows. And again, left-hand side on your browser, conceptual constructions, you can go ahead and click whichever one you want. So right now I just click like double plane, low E, and low solar heat gain factor. And yes, that's the way to go about customized glazing. In terms of conceptual constructions, you can also do the same thing for your walls. So let's say I want this wall being a different type from this wall. So again, hovering around your mouse, top button, you select your wall, and you see the conceptual construction showing up here again. Right now it's by energy settings, which goes back to the value that you guys put in your settings. So if you want to like change its type of that particular wall, you can go ahead and pick whatever one you like. So I want a high mass wall, like high insulation, click apply, and it's done. Okay? Any questions so far? Are there any questions, or I cannot hear you very well?
No, no questions. Yeah, you guys just feel free to ask any question. I'm sure you can hear you in the If not, then I'll just repeat it.
Okay.
No, okay.
Cool.
Yeah,
So, cool. So these are the basics for mass modeling for energy analysis. So I'm gonna now take it back to the analysis that we can perform with this tool. So last time I showed you guys what you can do within Revit. So under the Analyze tab, Energy Analysis, you can refer back to your simulations and the results of your design by hitting this guy over here, Result and Compare, which basically summarizes all the runs you did. Yeah. Any comparisons you had and everything. This guy here uses the Green Building Studio energy analysis engine, which can also be found online. So if you go online, you go to gbs.autodesk.com and log into your account, and the home page basically shows a list of all the projects that you've analyzed. And if you click to any of those projects in the list, you can access more specific simulations and options for that project. So let's say I'm going to click the first one, which basically refers to the analysis of this guy over here. Wait for it to load a little bit. Interesting. Okay, this is a bit tricky sometimes, so let's give it another try. Very, very interesting. Let me try and reload the page. What's this? Come on. In the meantime, while we're waiting for the kind of internet to show mercy, yeah, does anyone have any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah, go on.
So, which engine actually simulates the model? If plus, if you think, how do you know what is going on when simulates somewhere out of the cloud?
Did you hear that, Dimi?
Not very clearly,
Okay,
so if you'd
so
be
let
so
me
kind to
repeat that.
repeat it.
Yeah, so the question is, how do you know which engine does the simulation when you send it to the cloud, right? Like when you send it online, like how do you know
How
what?
do you get exact data, what is going on when simulation is happening? Because you
Oh,
send your
okay.
data to somewhere far and then you get some kind of results, but you don't know how exact those results are. What do you do with those?
Yeah, so how do you know? How do you know what's happening with your data when you send it? And yeah,
So if I got this correct, how do you know that your simulation is over and your results are ready?
Not just already correct. What is going on with data? I'm not saying I send data, it's simulated, and I get it back. So what is going on with simulation? You know?
how can you track the progress of the simulation?
Yes.
Yeah, how can you track the progress of the simulation as it's being done in the cloud?
Oh, okay,
When you
okay.
send it.
So let me run this simulation for you. So there's this mask with the custom glazing I just did for you guys, and you go and hit run energy simulation, and come on, this is gonna take a minute, but I think it's worth showing.
You had another question?
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
So my question is hard to the clear thing, but like when he drew the specific windows inside, I think before he did that, he said that it's almost like not worth it to do that.
Yeah.
That's my question. Like,
Okay.
are we supposed to draw specific windows, or should we not do that, or when would you do it, when would you not?
Okay, so Demi, another question. Remember when you were talking about adding windows? You said it wasn't.
Yep.
You don't necessarily have to do that at this stage of the design. So she's trying to understand when would it be necessary to do that, to include the windows and yeah.
Okay, I will come back to this question right after this works. So, okay, when you set your energy simulation settings and you hit continue, it will send the data of your design to the cloud. And what then will happen is, I'm not going to do it right now because it's going to slow my internet down, and I just got this guy to work. So fingers crossed, I'm going to show it in the end if we have some time. What this will do is it will give you a message, a pop-up window that is going to say that is going to indicate that either your simulation is complete, or if you want to see the progress of the simulation, you go to your results and compare. What a pity! I just shut the window down. But yeah, and for that specific simulation that is currently running, if you click on it, you're going to have a bar here that indicates the percentage of completion of that simulation. So let's say you can see I'm waiting for this simulation to run, and I go here and I see that it's like 75% complete, 80, blah blah. And when it is complete, you're going to see a pop-up window indicating that your results are ready. Okay. To the second questions about the windows. Well, this is, let's say, at this point, you're like wavering between two areas, architecture and function and energy analysis. What I meant by it's not the right point to customize glazing, I meant that you should think about your openings, but it's not the appropriate time to go ahead and fully customize it. So let's say I made a square here, but when I finish the design, this guy might be like an L-shaped window, for example. You understand?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. That's what I mean by customization. If you do not want something like this and you just want like one window, you can go ahead and customize it with a rectangle. but that's as far as I would go. I try to stick with pre-dimension glazing in Revit, and believe me, there are other tools out there like Ecotect and stuff like that that are much more flexible and allow for much more and more accurate customization. Because if you see, when I customized those windows, I wasn't able to add any dimensions to them. So the dimensioning might be a bit off, even in this model that supposedly has the same glazing as the detail model. It's not the same. I mean, this is a feeling. This is a ballpark about how the windows should look like, but that's all there is to it.
All right, so Dean, we have
Okay.
another question. Just one more. Yes,
Go ahead.
I do prefer like a simple structure, conceptualized energy modeling in Revit. You know, would work, but also it would be better to use something like eQuest or another program where you know you can really put in like R values, like more specific energy values. I'm curious about like for really detailed buildings that you've already modeled. You've already modeled it in Revit. Would you choose Revit to do the energy modeling, or would you outsource it to a program?
Okay. Okay. So the question is like, for detailed designs that you've already made, do you want to? Is it advisable to use like Revit to do that energy analysis, or would you rather use like other softwares to perform that analysis?
I will kindly ask you to repeat the question because there were some weird noises going on.
Okay. Okay. So the question is like for a detailed design where you already have a complete design or an almost complete design, would you want to use Revit to perform the energy analysis, or would you rather use another software to do a more detailed analysis of your design? Which is better, and what other softwares are there?
Okay. So it all depends on the workflow. I would personally, I would use Revit very early in the conceptual design stage. And I would use it with, as I just mentioned, with pre-dimension glazing, and max, like the utmost would be with some customization, but that's it. And I would do that in order to see the main strategies of my design. And what I mean by that is, should I go with high insulation walls? Should I go with lower insulation walls? Can I get away with fewer glazing? Do I need more glazing? And everything. But that's as far as I would go with Revit. For more detailed design, for more detailed design analysis, I would use Ecotect, which allows you to specify the R values, and it's much more engineering oriented. And it also allows for other analysis like daylighting and natural daylighting and stuff like that.
All right, so there's a follow-up question to that. Go on.
In that case, can you export your Revit model to eQuest, or you have to? I mean, in eQuest, I know you have the option to redraw your model. So
Yeah.
you export the detailed model. We'll understand what your type of things like that.
Okay, so the follow-up question is: can you export your model to eQuest from Revit?
Yes, and I will come to this in 2-3 minutes. That comes up in a bit.
All right,
so going back to our flow, all those simulations that are run within Revit are automatically uploaded to the Green Building Studio environment. So to link it back with where I left before, from your project list, you go ahead and you pick the project that you want to analyze and take a look into. And you can see here the main categories of performance. So a new cool feature that it's actually brand new is this last guy here, potential energy savings. If you go ahead and click that, it will bring up a chart that if I recall correctly, yes, it's the one I showed you guys on Tuesday. So what this chart does, it summarizes the building areas and it basically tells you how good or how bad you're currently doing. So if you hover, let's say for plug load efficiency, if you hover around this bar, it comes up with a window that basically indicates how bad or how good from what you're doing you can still achieve. So let's say for the plug load efficiency, you can do 33% worse, but you still have like a 12% more to go in order to be better and enhance your design. And the same goes for the other factors, but this guy gives like a very, very good method and in order to steer you towards the right direction of what you should look at. Yeah.
Yeah, so your volume kind of reduced. Can you, there's something you need to adjust so we can hear you clearer?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, barely.
Barely? How come?
Yeah,
Hmm.
sound like far away.
How about now?
Yeah, just keep talking and then we'll see what, try
Okay.
to figure out what the problem is.
Yeah. It's probably something either with the internet or with the laptop settings over there.
You're good now, no worries. Just keep going.
Okay. Okay. So this chart over here gives like a very good method and direction for you guys to steer in your design towards. So if we minimize this, another cool feature that we can see here is what Revit does based on this chart. It takes your worst areas and it automatically runs energy analysis simulations for each of those scenarios. So right here we can see different scenarios for plug loads and orientation and insulation and windows. And you can see here the results of each of those simulations. So that's pretty cool actually, because it means that you do not have to go back to your design. Let's say this is my base case and I want to change my orientation to minus to this like degree level. I don't have to go back and do it. I can look into here and perhaps there is a scenario that fits what my intention, what I was inclined to do. So that's pretty cool. And I also find this compare column over here to be pretty useful. What this guy does is if you click on this icon over here, what it does it sets this specific scenario, that row, as the base case, and it compares everything else to that case. So let's go ahead and let's say we pick this guy as our base case. So I hit the icon, and what Revit does, it compares everything else to that guy. So you see that my base case is set to 0, and everything else has like gotten some strange values. All it did, it deducted the values from my base case. So if I go back, let's say my carbon emissions are 605 and this guy here is 542. So if I select this as my base case again, this is 0 and this is 63, which is basically the difference between 605 and 542. So that offers like that's a function that facilitates and fastens the comparison between different assumptions and different models very, very quick. And last but not least, to answer the equest question, the way to connect and communicate your model and your analysis to equest or even Energy Plus and everything is come on. Nah. I have to go all the way. again. Okay. So let's say I pick this as my best case. If you go into that project, did everyone see what I did? So you go into a project by entering the simulation by clicking the specific run, and it comes up like with a bunch of numbers, and analysis that we're not going to dive into right now. But what we're interested in, for those of you that are like fans of eQuest and Energy Plus and other like more detailed engineering energy analysis softwares, is this tab over here, export and download data files. So if you click that, you have your eQuest and your Energy Plus file types that you can then open it with those respective programs. Does that answer your question?
I see now that they give the data and they would have like a model that's extremely detailed and from all the architectural modeling, whatever, and you want to actually export the model, physical, three-dimensional model.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Did you hear that, Jimmy?
If I'm not mistaken, the question was about how you can export a full, detailed, three-dimensional model.
Yeah, the actual model. Yeah, correct.
Yeah. The way I would go about it is if you hit the Revit icon over here and click export, and there's like a huge variety of files you can export from here. I don't use Ecotect, or I don't use Energy Plus or eQuest, so I don't know which one would be, or if there's any of those suitable file types over here.
Okay.
But yes,
So the export
this
is
the basic
IFC. Jimmy?
IFC. Okay.
Yeah, IFC. Yeah.
IFC. Okay. Yes, here it is.
Okay.
Actually, this is very, very basic. This is the export menu of Revit, and usually it covers the needs of communication with other tools and technologies. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I guess that wraps up my part.
All right.
Hope you guys enjoyed it. And see you next time.
All right. Thanks, Jimmy.
Goodbye. Have a good day, everyone.